Good morning, everybody. It is episode 22 of On the Road Again with Shaggy, and I'm trying to get this out today on Friday. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. My new goal is to try and put one out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But, well, yesterday I was a little busy, so I didn't get to record one, which automatically puts me a little bit behind, because these do take longer to put out in the 360 format. But regardless, today's topic is actually an article. I saw several headlines for it yesterday, and I'm going to admit I didn't read the whole article, but I think the headline itself is ridiculous. And it's something that I'm going to assume is absolutely true because it sounds like something he would say. Now, I talked last time that we don't get into politics a whole lot, and this one is political, but I think it's asinine. So I got to cover it at least a little bit. Like I said, I may be wrong on some of this, but I'm going to go off of what my gut says. Right, headline yesterday says, Donald Trump doesn't want poor people in charge of the economy. Right, and you know, now what he was talking about was that, you know, he's been accused lately of filling up his cabinet with billionaires. And that's absolutely true. If you look at his cabinet members, they're all super rich, and you know he hasn't shied away from that. He's admitted it, and you know he was asked why that is, and he said, "I don't want poor people in charge of this country." And it got me to thinking about a movie called Head of State, and another movie called Dave. And if you haven't seen either of those movies, stop this video right now, spend 3-4 hours, and go watch those two movies. Because I think that they'll make the rest of this will make a lot more sense after you watch those two movies. First off, in the movie Dave, all right, the plot line is that the president suffers a stroke, and they don't want to admit it because it's not the vice president, but it's like the chief of staff and somebody else. You know, they want to get what they want. They've got some shady stuff going on, and you know, they want to finish it out before the term's over. So they find somebody that looks just like the president to take his place, and then it's basically just like a puppet. They think of him like a puppet. Well, he actually takes the job seriously, and when the president's wife's program is in jeopardy and they cut it out of the budget, he finds a way to rewrite the budget to bring the money back into it. And he does that by asking his public accountant friend over to the White House to help solve the budget. And the public accountant says, if I ran my business like this, I'd be in jail. All right, and you find that everywhere. You find that in local government, in state government, and in federal government. If any of us ran our budgets, our books, the way that the government does, we would either be out of business or in jail. All right, and Illinois, prime example of that. Okay. Now, the movie Head of State relates to this because there's a great speech. Well, there's several great speeches through that movie. So like I said, watch it. It's a Chris Rock movie, so it's funny as hell anyway. But that movie is, the Democratic Party doesn't want to win this election, but they don't want to lose their spot, so they put forward a candidate they think is going to lose, so that then when they run next year, people go, oh, look, they're putting together an actual good candidate this year so that they'll win. It's a weird premise, I know, but so they pick an alderman to run for president. Well, again, he finds out their plan, ratchets it up, and it becomes enamored with the people and ends up winning. But only after he debates the current vice president, who's running for president, and does this great speech about, well, two. One, which I will call the That Ain't Right speech, and the other one, which is a direct debate with the vice president. So again, great movies. If you are frustrated with politics, watch both of them. You'll really enjoy yourself and wonder why that isn't the way that it's done. Regardless, in the Head of State, you know, Chris Rock says, how are you going to look at the budget realistically, if you ain't never been broke? How are you going to do drug policy if you ain't never smoked weed? Okay? Now, on the surface, those seem like idiotic statements. But when you look deeper at them, there's some truth to that. You know? I mean, I go and give blood every once in a while. And I'll tell you what, if I had the choice between a new phlebotomist, okay, a person who draws blood, who just got out of school, or a heroin addict, a recovered heroin addict, all right, to take my blood, I'm going with the heroin addict because they can hit a vein every single time, all right? They know what they're doing, all right? They are an expert with that needle. And it's the same thing with the government. I don't agree with Trump. I don't want a billionaire dealing with my money because that billionaire has always had money and he hasn't had to worry about the small amounts. You know, so often in government we go, oh, it's only $1,000. Oh, it's only $100,000. Oh, it's only $1 million. In the grand scheme of things, those amounts don't matter. Well, guess what? When you have 100,000 of those small don't matter amounts, they start to matter. All right? It's always the small things that add up. An avalanche doesn't just start, okay? It starts with a small ripple. That's how it starts. You know, so I want someone who has been poor who then got out of it. The problem with the billionaires in the cabinet is they've always been billionaires. They were born into money. All right? They didn't make themselves. Most of them were always born into it. Donald Trump himself didn't make a dime to start out. He was born into it. And guess what? According to studies and research, he'd have been better off if he'd have sat on his ass and not done anything. If you look at Donald Trump and how much money he started out with before he started actually taking over his family's business, all right? If he'd have just put his money in a savings account, he'd have more money than what he has right now. He is a shitty businessman. All right? He declared bankruptcy 5 times. 5 times. And you want him in charge of your money? That's stupid. All right? I don't want those people in charge of my money. I want somebody who has been living paycheck to paycheck, eating Kraft macaroni and cheese 5 days a week because they know how to stretch a dollar. All right? They know what it's like to be called by collections every day. I want those people in charge of my money because they know how to make the tough calls. They know what it's like to choose between dinner and paying a hospital bill. I mean, those are the real problems that we have. Does anybody agree with me? I want to know that. Put it in the comments. Does anybody at all see what I'm talking about here? About we don't want millionaires who always had this. You know, because they don't understand what it is. The amount of money that they've had makes it so that they're out of touch with the average American. They don't know it. The average American income is less than $60,000 a year. Way less. All right? They make more than that in a day. They don't give a damn about what our salaries are. In fact, if it was up to them, they'd be less. Because that means more money for them to screw around with and buy jets and furs and boats and all this other crap. If you think that a millionaire is going to try and make life better for you, you are an idiot. It's just not going to happen. I mean, wake up. Now, I'm not saying that all the Democrats are any different. All right? I'm not saying that at all. Because guess what? They're millionaires too. Okay? We really do need that independent third party that doesn't have anything. All right? That's you and me. That's what we need. But we're too caught up in it. You know, the last Georgia election was an example that, you know, money buys an election. How sad is that? How sad is that? All right? You buy an election. You don't win it, you buy it. I mean, we're not voting for the person, we're voting for who got on TV more. And that's just sad. You know, nobody does their research. Nobody, I mean, and I know I'm getting off topic, but that's what I do. So, I mean, the idea, back to what I was originally going to talk about, you know, the idea that we don't want poor people in charge of our money, to me just seems silly. Because, like I said, I do want a poor person in there. I don't want somebody that's still poor. I don't want somebody that makes bad decisions all the time, that's continually poor. But I want somebody that's been poor, that's pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And that's not what these millionaire cabinet members are. So, you know, and I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Give me an example of when I'm wrong. Alright? And if any of you say Elon Musk, he was born into money too. Did he make a lot more? Sure he did. You know, but he was born into money too. So, you know, we have very few examples of people that were not born into money. You know, unfortunately, Steve Jobs was a great example. Bill Gates is a good example. Those were people that actually did build themselves up. And you can see if you watch, you know, real documentaries about them, you know, how hard it really was for them. Because life is never easy for somebody that starts with nothing and then accomplishes something. You know, it is very difficult. One of these days, I would like to try and be that person. You know, right now I'm just stuck in the trying very hard part. I have not reached the accomplish something part. I'm trying like hell, but I don't seem to ever get there. You know, but that is part of the American dream. The American dream is not easy. The American dream of, you know, being successful is very difficult. And I don't think it's supposed to be easy either. Because if it was easy, you wouldn't appreciate it when you were done. You know, you look at lottery winners, perfect example, okay? Most lottery winners are broke. Most of the people that win the lottery within, I think it's 3 to 5 years, are broke when, you know, after that time. Because they don't know how to manage their money, they just fell into their lap and they went stupid. Okay? Because they didn't have to work hard for it. You work hard for it, you learn to appreciate it, and I think that gives you strength with it. But if you're just giving it, I don't think it's nearly as meaningful to you. And that's what's important about the American dream, is it has to mean something. You know. So, I don't know. Like I said, tell me what you think below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Should we have people that have pulled themselves up out of nothing rather than millionaires who've always been millionaires? You know, I also want to know topics of conversation that you want to cover. Like, share, follow. As always, this thing's only going to grow if you help it. Because, you know, quite frankly, I'm not advertising it. I'm not paying for advertising. So you guys are the ones that are helping it grow. So let me know. As always, the trip's almost over, and I'll see you the next time that I'm on the road. Thanks.